Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. And welcome to the Center of Spiritual Living to everybody who is here in person and everybody online. And I hope everybody was able to get the correct time. For me, my cell phone told me the right time, but when I got in my car, it was an hour later, and I go, oh no, I'm going to miss the service. But it was the first moment that I realized that there was a time change. But I'm glad to see that everybody did make it. Okay, so welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Antelope Valley, wherever you are on your spiritual path. You are embraced here. We believe that we are co-creators with the divine, and that you can change your life by changing your mind and your vibration. Ernest Holmes is the founder of our philosophy, and we teach universal truths distilled from the world's spiritual teachings. Okay, we have a wonderful service in store for you today. Our very own Esperanza Ramos, SB, is our speaker for today. Okay, well, our musical inspiration is going to be very special today. We have the center singers featured by Bree, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store. On the sound, is that Bonnie over there? Oh, okay, that's Frank and Bonnie. Give a big hand for Bonnie, because it's the first time. Okay. And Joanne today is going to be lighting the flames of faith later on. But right now, I'd like to, who are the ushers today? Nick and Dean. Nick and Dean are the ushers for today, and yay. And right now, I'd like to invite Aaron up to give the announcements.
I like being in the center. All right, here's the announcements. And it's not going to be on here, but first let's say congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes. All right, announcements for November 2nd. Happy birthday. Everyone born in November, please stand up. All right. Let's give them a hand and we wish you a happy birthday month. Our current events, Dean Everson Williams will strengthen your mind and body with her yoga classes every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. A $20 love donation is accepted. Our new Cosmically Connected Kids Club is starting now. Please go to Friendship Hall to join in. Christine and Kate are here to help if you have any questions. On Wednesday, November 5th at 6 p.m., the Spanish language study group is facilitated by Esperanza Ramos. You want to say it in Spanish?
Prácticas con Esperanza, el grupo espiritual en español se reúne el día 5 de noviembre a las 6 de la tarde, de 6 a 7 y media. Aquí los espero. Gracias.
All right, Stacy's Full Moon Sound Bath is on Wednesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. Sonically connect to the moon with the Singing Crystal Sound Bowls. This meditation experience is a $20 love donation. Our monthly men's group meets on Tuesday, November 18th at 6 p.m. It is facilitated by our core council president, Frank Williams. On Saturday, November 22nd at 1 p.m., Reverend Jessica Fish facilitates a Zoom bereavement support group. The link information is on our website, it's on the weekly email bulletin, and it's in our brochure on the back table. If you don't know about it, you're just not looking. Our Authentically Me Women's Group meets at 3 p.m. on the fourth Sunday of every month. Each moment in this group is designed to bring joy and laughter into your life. Compassionate Care Team. If you know someone in our spiritual community that is having health challenges, is in the hospital, or is otherwise in need of support, please contact Joe McLaughlin. Is anyone here for the first time? All right. We are blessed by your presence today. You are invited to Friendship Hall after the service to enjoy some snacks. The ushers have a little bag for you. Inside is a welcome card. Please fill it out with your email so you can receive our event information. We don't spam you. It is okay. Please leave the card, give the card to one of our ushers or drop it in the basket at the end of the service. And let's give them another warm welcome. We have many ways to keep informed. Sign up for our weekly email bulletin or scan the QR code for our website. Those of you who still like paper, there's a brochure on the back table, or check the bulletin board in Friendship Hall, which is only using paper once, and take a picture of it. So experience a 2-minute tune-up with our practitioners after the service. You can come forward and practitioners will pray with you. If you're not going to come forward, let's quietly but swiftly leave the room. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. We've kind of moved things around a little bit in order because today we are still celebrating the Day of the Dead. I know some of you were here at the event yesterday, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful celebration, a great event. The Day of the Dead is usually the first and the second. So the first is they recognize the children, and then on the second, it's the adults. And since we have our beautiful altar here, we wanted to also, celebrate the Day of the Dead today. And so the music's going to be a little different. We have some indigenous songs that we're going to be singing, or that the music team is going to be singing, and I just wanted you to be aware, and things are a little bit out of the regular schedule, but we're still doing it all. So, thank you.
Chikiewa ni sochi, chikiewa ni mapoyoya, pampa mi mix la sokla, pampa mi mix la sokla ipano chimoyola. Chikiewa ni sochi, chikiewa ni mapoyola, pampa mi mix la sokla, pampa mi mix la sokla ipano chimoyola. Chikiewa ni sochi, chikiewa ni mapoyola, pampa mi mix la sokla, pampa mi mix la sokla ipano chimoyola. Aquí te traigo esta flor, guárdala porque te amo, guárdala porque te amo con todo mi corazón.
Beautiful song, and we started with this song because we want to open the ceremony and we want to invite our ancestors to join us. And so this is that welcoming song. It's also known as a healing song. So it also provides any healing that needs to be taking place during the time that we are recognizing our ancestors. So thank you.
Okay, my name is Joan McLaughlin, and I'm the practitioner on duty today. And just, when I walked in here, I noticed that I had put my mom and dad in the center of the altar. And so now I feel like my mom and dad are watching me today and are blessing me today. And so I can feel more confident in what I have to say. Okay. Yeah, also up there, I just have to acknowledge my son David, who passed away when he was 16 years old. And but this is the 33rd year after his passing. And yeah, I know that he's with me every day. Not just today, every day, watching over me. Okay. We're starting with lighting the flames of faith, the call to service, and Joanne has willingly volunteered to light the candles today. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practice of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Okay, we light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Okay, you want to come over here, Joey? We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for those who are as yet unaware of spirit in their lives, and for the space we're holding for them here at the center. As Joanne lights the healing candles, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to experience the healing flame of God's eternal love. Okay, thank you so much, Joanne. My reading today, it comes from Science of Mind magazine, the brand new one for the month of November. Okay, this article is written by Mary Davis. It's called A Gentle Guide to the Holidays. Yeah, now, this is the beginning of the article. On December 20th, 1997, my second daughter, Angela Rose, came silently into the world, a full-term stillbirth. Like a winter snow, she arrived quietly and covered the field of my heart. I found myself in a liminal space between heaven and earth, where there are no words to express the impossibility of her absence. Tears poured from an infinite well of love. And in those moments of emptiness and fullness, when I knew almost nothing about grief, I knew this: she would be a part of me for the rest of my life. I have since lost other dear ones, and only a few months ago, my mother. When someone we love leaves this planet, we walk the rest of our day with their soul in our hearts. We carry them in the deepest chamber of our being. No one sees, but we know they are there, companioning us with every step and every breath. And she concludes, this part says, "You are not alone." This year, on December 20th, I will mark 28 years of missing my daughter and my first Christmas without my mother. From Earth and on the other side, my beloveds and I will be holding a space for life and loss with you, and as we approach the coming holidays. Although I use the word loss, I know that our loved ones are not lost, but right here with every moment, as alive as we are. We cannot lose them. They live in our hearts. In the mess and in the mystery, in the broken heart and in the beautiful, in the tears and in the tenderness, in the hardest days and in the hope, in grief and in grace, they are here. You are not alone. Remember that always. You are not alone. Okay. If you feel comfortable, just close your eyes and go within and just resonating with those words. We just recognize the power and the presence of God, which is in our very midst, which is embracing us and lifting us to our highest good. And I know that this power and presence of God is within me and with each and every person who is present, each and every person who is online. And this is the power and presence of love, the power and presence of light, the power and presence of peace, of abundance and prosperity, of all things good. And I just bless the proceedings of this service. And I bless the ancestors who went before us, each and every person on this altar who has passed before us. I just bless them in their heavenly home. And I know that as Espy comes up to speak, that she speaks the words of truth, the words of light, the words of love, inspired by God and received by those who are open to embrace her words and to bless her presence. And I just bless everybody who has been involved in this service, the center singers, and Bree, who is leading the center singers in this inspirational service. And I bless Chris and the Children's Church, the Cosmic Kids, who just embarked last week on their adventure in this center. And I bless anybody who has been involved in this beautiful Center for Spiritual Living, Antelope Valley. And I release this prayer into the law, knowing that God has heard my words and is acting upon them. And I just simply let go, and I let God, and I allow it to be, as we say together. And so it is. Amen.
Yahweh Haya, Yahweh Haya, Yahweh Haya, Yahweh way higher, hey yo, yo way higher, way high, way high, yo way higher, higher, way higher, yo way higher, higher, way higher, way higher, higher, way higher, hey yo, yo way higher, way high, way high, yo way higher, higher, way higher, yo way higher, higher, way higher, way higher, higher, way higher, hey yo, yo way higher, way high, way high, yo way. Okay. Yeah, you can go. You can go, yeah.
At this time, I'd like to invite our speaker for today, our very own Esperanza Ramos. Give her a great big hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Joan. I think my mic sounds really loud. Is it loud? Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. What a beautiful song. You know, I wanted to say something about the songs because Brianna and I, you know, we have, and Olivia, have participated in some Native American ceremonies, you know, sweat lodges, eagle feather, and they sing these songs. And they sing a lot of songs. And Brianna chose these songs for this ceremony. And I just, you know, we sing them with, you know, they give us permission to sing these songs outside of those circles. And, you know, we ask for permission to sing the songs. And so they have given us permission to sing the songs as long as that we hold them sacred. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, for the people who taught us these words. I knew you were going to ask that. And I was asking Brianna earlier, I said, okay, let's talk about these songs. You know, like the first one that we talked about, it is a welcoming song. It is also a healing song. You know, it's often sang for any kind of ceremony where people are, you know, moving through some kind of experience. You know, so it allows that healing. This one was, which one? Yowehaya? Yowehaya, I don't remember. The next one that we're going to be singing is also a welcoming song. You know, so you welcome and you also welcome, which will be sang at the end because we want to welcome the spirits to go back home. You know, it's basically how that song is going. The majority of the songs are healing. They're love songs as far as expressing that love and that expansion of who you are and knowing that you are just one with all things. And that's what our talk is about today, too. You know, we want to talk about the Day of the Dead. It's so beautiful. I want to thank everyone who was here on Wednesday to help put this altar together, to help construct it. And I want to thank everyone who brought things afterwards. You know, you brought flowers, you brought pictures. There's a whole lot of things up here, some food, some candles, you know, all of it. This is our community altar. You know, it comes together with each and every one of us as we put in our energy, our love, our memories, you know. And so we want to talk a little bit about that too. Everything on this altar has a purpose, you know. So when we look at it, we say, oh, it's just really pretty, it's got stuff, you know. You know, we know that in Science of Mind, we always talk about a spiritual mind treatment. You know, when we're doing prayer, we're doing affirmative prayer. When you build an altar, you're building an altar with prayer. You know, you come into it with prayer, with intention. Every piece that you put on here means something. You know, you put the flowers there. You know, we use marigolds to, because they're pungent. They have this aroma that helps to guide the spirits to this place. You know, we have the candles for the same reason. We want to light the candles. You know, we want to have light so that they can see the light. They know how to get here. You know, we offer food and drink. So we put the food that they like. We put drink that they like. You know, and it's honoring, you know, their customs and what they liked when they were here. The pictures are all symbolic, not that we have had loss, but that we have had life. You know, that each one of these pictures represents that life. It represents legacy. You know, it represents who we are today, because it has created an opportunity to create who we are. You know, it is not, you know, we definitely mourn, we definitely grieve, right? We grieve the transition, you know, of someone that we love. However, in this ceremony, we are honoring them. You know, we are honoring them, we're honoring the gifts that they have given us in life. You know, I mean, you know, every single person here has given us life, you know, and we are experiencing that, you know, and there may be things that we may look at and say, okay, well, that wasn't so great, you know, so I don't know if I want to remember that part, but the reality is that everyone has touched us. Every single person on this altar has touched us. And in Science of Mind, we believe that there is only one. So if there is only one, then every single person on this altar is part of me. It's part of the whole. So there is no separation. There's no separation from who this is or who that is or who that is or who this is. We are all one. We're all created by that oneness, by that divine spirit. So we are all in this together, you know, and this is why this altar becomes just so beautiful. You know, we have the Katrina dolls that are up there, and really they're skeletons, these beautiful skeleton dolls, and they really represent that, you know, the belief that people used to be buried all the time. You know, it's not until more recent that everyone gets cremated, but from burial, we turn to skeleton. We all go from life to death in this form. It's not because we have gone from life to death and stopped to existing. It's because we have just transitioned into another form, you know. And this time of year, you know, we're in autumn, and we, you know, so for me, this is like a Mexican tradition, right? This is a Mexican holiday. But there's people who celebrate, you know, the Day of the Dead everywhere, in a lot of places. And there's this belief that the veil is very thin during this autumn time. And so it's a time when things, you know, that are unseen can become seen. You know, and sometimes people will talk about those experiences during this time, you know, where they have, because the veil is so thin, that you can not only be visited, but you can also visit. You know, you can dream of your ancestors. They come to you in a dream. You can feel them. You may be able to smell them. You know, you may be able to smell the cigarette smoke. You might be able to smell the food, the water, or the drink, something. Like all of a sudden it's like, what is that? You know? And it's just so real. And you're trying to figure out what it is. You know, I remember in the house where I used to live, we knew that there was a spirit there because we could smell the smoke. And nobody in the house smoked. And it would be in the oddest places. Like we'd be walking to the house and it's like, what is that? I mean, we even accused each other of smoking. It's like, did you start smoking? You know? And it was like, no, you know, nobody had started smoking. But there was a spirit there in that house that smoked, you know? And so you start to think, well, who do I know, you know, that used to smoke? Because those little things that sometimes we don't really pay too much attention to is what's happening, you know? They're coming to say hello. You know, they're coming to say, hey, I got your back. I'm here. You know, I'm somewhere. I haven't gone. You know, I'm not fully gone. You know, we moved from the visible to the invisible. We moved from that manifested space of humanity here as a human into that spirit world. You know, so always present. And I love a lot of the stuff, you know, I was looking, as I was researching all this, and I was looking at, what does Ernest Holmes say? You know, what does Science of Mind say? You know, what is our belief system here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Science of Mind, as far as eternal life? And there is a lot of stuff. And so I had a lot of fun finding a lot of things to read and to add here so I can share it with all of you. You know, our core concept number 9, core
core concept number 9? Okay, wait a minute. It's not love potion number 9. It's core concept number 9. It says, the universal truth about life is that life never ends. What we call death is simply the changing of one form of life to another. Death, the belief and perception that life must come to an end, is a human concept. As in birth, the invisible becomes visible. So in dying, the visible again becomes invisible. I thought that was so powerful because we don't see it that way. You know, we don't, you know, like we're in the moment of losing someone who's here in our life, and we don't think about the fact that we haven't really, well, we've lost them here in this human plane, but we haven't lost them in reality, you know, in the existence of the world. And so he goes on to say, life continues in another plane when the body has outlived its usefulness. He continues to say, I don't see how there can be life after death. There can't be any. There is no life after death because there is no death. You know, and so I thought, okay, that's cool. I like that one, and that is in Love and Law. If you haven't read that book, it's a great book. So that's in Love and Law, book written by Ernest Holmes, page 147, if you're interested in that, you know. And so I'd like you to just close your eyes for a minute. And I'm assuming, and this is probably a big assumption, so if you haven't had a loss in your family, then, you know, just play along. So think about someone in your life who has passed, a parent, a friend, a mentor, a pet. You know, just bring that person to light. Bring them to your memory. And just feel their presence. Just see them, feel them. Allow that love to just permeate from you to them, from them to you. Knowing that thought is creative and consciousness is not local. It's not bound by time or space. So when we think of a loved one, we are not imagining them from the past. We are tapping into a real and present spiritual connection. And so the Day of the Dead reminds us that those who came before us are not gone. They are alive in memory, in DNA, in influence, and in spirit. They are part of the great tapestry of life, expressing through us even right here and now. And so we know that life cannot die. The soul cannot cease to exist. And so when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How did that feel? Some people liked it, some people didn't. It goes that way all the time, you know. Sometimes it's too close, you know, it's just too close. And then, you know, and then other times it just feels really, really good. But it's a practice that you can do anytime you want, you know, just like building an altar. Building an altar, you know, we do this for this particular holiday. It's a sacred practice, right? But you can build an altar in your home. You can have something, you know, that where you just have a candle and a picture. You can have a candle and flowers. You can have whatever you want. Whatever you feel called to have on your altar, you can build that. You can have that all the time. So it can just be there for you, and you can always go into this moment of recalling, you know, and recalling and being and visiting. You know, we have experiences all the time, you know, where we see things or we hear things, or even sometimes somebody tells you something. You know, I know that some of you have these special gifts, or maybe we all have special gifts, but some of us use them a little better than others. And I very often have been told by someone without me even expecting it. And they will tell me about someone who's with me. And the person who's telling me this story doesn't know that person. They don't, sometimes they know me, sometimes they don't. And they will just come up to me and say, oh, hey, by the way, there's this person, and this is what they look like, and this is what they're wearing, and they're just like around you, hanging around type of thing, wanting to say that they love you and blah, blah, blah. And just by the way that they describe them, I know who it is. It's like it's so clear to me who that person is. And I always find those things amazing. They're fascinating to me because, people who know me know that could be very gullible, but at the same time, I'm also very skeptical, like, oh, yeah, whatever, But there's some things that you just can't get past. When someone is describing someone down to a belt buckle, and you're like, oh, wow, there's this person, and I know that belt buckle belongs to that person, right? And so you just know, and you make that connection, and you know that it's true. That's when I know for sure that the veil is very thin. That's when I know that this is true, because I've experienced it. Has anyone else experienced something like that? Yeah? Yeah, it's not that odd. It's not like to say like, oh no, there's just some strange people who have those experiences. No. I'm not calling you strange, I'm calling myself strange. But, it's more common than we think. So honoring our ancestors, I think it's so important to, I mentioned something about legacy earlier, and, we think about legacy as something that somebody left us, right? Something that, our ancestors have created this legacy, and we are who we are, and we've learned what we've learned, and we've taken what we've taken, whatever it is, this legacy, right? But think about, right now, we know in science of mind that we create our reality. So our thoughts are creating things, right? We are able to create. We have the creative power, to make something however we want, however we want to see it in our world. So what is the legacy that you are creating and leaving behind? And so I have children, I have grandchildren, and I think, when I was thinking about this, I thought to myself, wow, what stories are they going to be telling about me, when they have my picture up here on this altar, So what is the legacy that I am leaving behind, right? That is like very cool to think about that, because I thought, I know they love me, they'll miss me, all that good stuff. But when you start thinking about legacy, what do I want to create in my life to leave behind? It's not about leaving money or houses or cars, even though I'm sure they would like that, but it's about leaving that story, that depth, that belief system, or that loving kindness, or these songs, that the children learn these songs, and they one day say, oh yeah, we're going to celebrate the Day of the Dead, and we're going to sing these songs because my nana used to sing them, in ceremony. It's the legacy. Create your legacy, Think about it. Move into life thinking, what am I leaving? What is my legacy? And I'm looking at Stacy, I'm thinking, what you're leaving? You're leaving this beautiful music, the songs that you've created, the stuff you have on, YouTube or wherever I've seen it, it's beautiful. It's a legacy. So we all have our special little something, or our special a lot of something. We all have tons of stuff. But I think that it's creating these things consciously. It's like sometimes we talk about this all the time in Science of Mind. We're like, are we letting life happen to us? Or are we creating the life that we want to experience? And so it's the same thing with your legacy. Do you want to just leave a legacy? Whatever happens, happens, and whatever it is, and it says, it says? Because we've gone through so much transition in life, right? When I think about my parents, and then I think about their parents, my experiences were affected by theirs, by their life and their upbringing and all that stuff. I would like to create something different today, in today's day and age, for my children, for my grandchildren. I want to create something different. I don't want to, even though I like the tradition and the Mexican traditions and the food and all that wonderful stuff that we experience, I still want to step into something different. I want to step into something that has more liberation to it. I want to step into something that has more equality in it. I want to step into something that's, beyond, the understanding of this world of what's good and bad and right and wrong, but knowing that all is part of the same scale. It's the same ruler. We can just look at it and see where we want to be in it and how we want to do it. Holmes, in his book, Can We Talk to God, he says, each one of us is on the pathway to an endless expression of life, truth, and beauty. Behind us is the all. Before us, within us, and expressing through us is the all. And he continues to say, I believe in the immortality and the continuity of the individual stream of consciousness. Humanity is an ascending principle of life, so it's always moving up, right? And individuality and expression, experience, and an unfoldment. So we are always unfolding. And then we can look at the tradition, and we look at this beautiful tradition, and we look at our ancestors, and we just thank them. We thank them for everything that we have learned from them, everything that we have been given. Today we have breath. We're living here, right now. Somebody did that, It came from somewhere. We didn't, we weren't hatched. So, well, I guess we could say we did because we came from an egg, but but we weren't really hatched, So, having that gratitude, sometimes I know we talk about our family heritage or, our parents and stuff like that, and sometimes we don't have good memories, We don't have good memories, and we can't find that place to be grateful. We struggle with it. But when you take a breath and you realize that you've been given this gift of life, that's all you have to be grateful for. That gift of life. And so when we move into a place of gratitude, we know that everything else starts to fall off, it's almost like a limpia, we're washing ourselves off. We wash ourselves off of, resentments and anger and experiences that were perhaps traumatic, and we let go of that because we're now in that gratitude for life, that gratitude for breath, the gratitude for who we are today. So just remembering that every item on this altar is special, and when you create your own altar, you can create it however you want, and with complete gratitude, in prayer, in ceremony, make it a sacred thing in your home. If you put a picture there, know why you're putting it there. If you're putting flowers there, know why you're putting them there. What does it mean to you? So these are symbolic in the Mexican tradition of things that we do here. You can pick your own symbolism as to what it is that some item has for you, and whatever that means to you is what you can put on that altar. You put it on with intention. You put it on with that memory, that love, that gratitude, and that's what creates your altar. So I invite you to do that. When we talk about, I was talking about legacy, and I had written some stuff here, and it says, I wrote down, to take a sacred pause and to consider what would your ancestors be proud of in your life. So when you think about that, you think about whoever your ancestors are. What is it? Can you name one thing in your mind that they would be proud of today? What limiting beliefs have been passed down that you're ready to let go of? And so that's what I was talking about those experiences, right? So what is it that you're still believing that is so limiting, but it was, passed down to you that you can let go of now? You can let go of it right now, just like that. You take a deep breath and you let it go, You don't have to own it. You don't have to believe it anymore because you know what the truth is. And whatever that limitation is, it's not true anymore. may have been true for them when they shared it with you. They may have been feeling that. But we know that we create our abundance, we create our life, and we create our path, right? So whatever limiting belief has been, instilled on us is not ours. We don't have to own it. And then what spiritual truth will you carry forward? So what are you going to carry forward? What are you going to create in your legacy? And so remember that creating an altar, celebrating the Day of the Dead, we celebrate life. We celebrate the vibrancy of life. We celebrate that life is eternal. It is never ending. I remember Brianna sometimes talk about things and we're like, yeah, isn't it weird? Like 1 minute they were here and the next minute they're not. But they're not here in this physical plane. But they're still here. They're in the spirit world. Nothing has happened. Energy has changed. And I always like to use that example of when we look at water, and we look at water, and if we put water in the freezer, it turns into ice. It changes, right? It changes what it is or what it looks like, but it's still water. If we take it from there and we throw it in the ocean, it's still water. We can use it in so many ways, but we don't change it. We don't make it stop being water. It just changes its shape. So just like that, our soul, our spirit changes shape. It goes into something else. And we'll all know when we get there. I always laugh because people ask those questions, right? They say, well, what's going to happen? Like what happens? And I think, I don't know. I haven't been there yet, when I get there, I'll let you know. I don't know. I was laughing at Joanne. She was trying to light that candle and she couldn't light it, right? And I was thinking, the spirits are playing with you, girl. They're giving you a hard time and not letting that candle light up. Because every once in a while, we see things or we just know, and something happens, and it's fun to blame somebody. So, as we come to a close of this service, I just wanted to say that, to remember the celebration of the Day of the Dead, to remember, the opportunities, it's a sacred opportunity, an opportunity for us to remember that death is not the end. As hard as that is sometimes, if we learn that, we study it, we learn it, we understand it, we get to embody that understanding of it. It's not just like so much we can hear things and we say, yeah, I know that. But what do you really feel inside? When we can really, really embody that teaching and really believe it, is when we move from that fear to resonance, right? It's no longer there. It's like, we find some comfort in that truth. An opportunity to feel the presence of love that transcends lifetimes. That experience that we did earlier of closing your eyes and trying to remember, somebody that has passed. You can feel that. You can feel that love that just transcends, right? Time and space. It's just so beautiful. And an opportunity to ground us in the eternal truth, knowing that there is only one life, and that is the life of God. Spirit is eternal, and love never dies. So we see each other as individualized manifestations of spirit, and the reality is that we are all connected by that golden thread. We are all one. We're just expressing differently. And how wonderful it is that we have the opportunity to experience each other. How lovely, how beautiful that is, right? That we're here and we get to experience. We are so lucky we get to experience this, and we get to see it, and we get to feel it. And yet we still know that we're all connected, So I'd like to close with a prayer. If you guys would just close your eyes a little bit, or you can gaze down if you don't like closing your eyes, and we can move into a beautiful prayer here. just recognizing, that as we turn inward, we turn into that eternal presence of divine life. We recognize that there is only one power, one source, one infinite love, expressing through all things, seen and unseen. And so we bless our ancestors. We thank them for their wisdom, their sacrifices, and their love. We bless those who are grieving, knowing that comfort is at hand. And we bless ourselves as we continue to walk this path of awakening, of purpose, and of peace. We affirm the eternal nature of the soul, and we give thanks for this sacred day of remembrance. And we join together with the words, and so it is. Thank you. Tina?
Yellow mic? Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to share a little bit. I sit in the side of the bed I sleep on is the right side, and depending on your perspective. And I often smell perfume. And I'll turn to Frank and say, do you smell that? Do you smell that? He's like, smell what? Smell what? That. It's perfume. It's perfume. And it happens at least 2 times a month and has for the last 3 years. So the one part of me that believes that I know what it's connected to would want to feel sad, but the other part is the part that knows that wherever she happens to be, my foster mother, she's good. She's moving, she's growing, and she's still living experiences. And so with that, I wanted to share something that's off the topic of death, but completely related to it, because when we pass, we can either pick to be sad all the time, or we can choose to be happy. So I chose happy. Pharrell Williams.
Nice.
You asked the question. Might seem crazy what I'm about to say. This is the part. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon, I can go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is for you. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel that happiness is the truth. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Yeah. Well, give me all you got and don't hold back. Yeah. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is for you. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel happiness is the truth. Nothing down, can't nothing bring me down. My level's too high to bring me down. So can't nothing bring me down. Cause I'm happy, 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 happy. Yeah, yeah, because I'm happy. Ooh, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy.
you. Thank you, Dina. I love that song. I love the happy song. I love to jump around when we sing it. So now it's time for our conscious giving. So we invite the ushers up, and while you guys are preparing your gifts, your tithes, we are going to sing a song. And this song is to send our spirits back home. So just as we open up the ceremony and we want to invite them in, we also want to send them back on their way. And so we have an affirmation we're going to read before we sing, right? But where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. So if you want to hold your contribution over your heart, or if you give online like I do an automatic pay stuff. You can also put your hand over your heart, just blessing that conscious giving that is within you. And so let's read this. Today I give in love and joy from the overflow of abundance in my life. My gifts goes forward to bless and uplift, fulfilling the purpose of our spiritual community. Lives are transformed. I am grateful, and so it is. Thank you.
Wendeya ho, Wendeya ho, Wendeya, Wendeya ho, weya ho, na na na. Wendeya ho, Wendeya ho, Wendeya, Wendeya ho, weya ho, na na na. Wendeya ho, Wendeya ho, Wendeya, Wendeya ho, weya ho, na na na.
Nice. Thank you. Come on up, ushers. So if you all would like to help me bless our tithes, our gifts, just put your hands out. And so we just say thank you. We say thank you to all the generosity, to all the gifts, to all the tithes, to all the blessings, to all the volunteers, to everyone who has participated and continues to give from their heart. We know that, we are abundant, and we know that, it returns back to you. And we know that with this money, we're able to just continue to be of service here in this community. And so for that, I am grateful. So thank you, God. And so it is. And so let's make a circle. Everybody seems to be on this side today. Or right heavy. Left heavy. I don't know. So we stand there, we put our hands out, facing each other. And you can repeat after me. We know who you truly are. You are a unique way that Spirit is expressing. We love you. We appreciate you. And we thank God for you. Welcome home.
in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And so it is.